So how conceivable is it, do you think, that LA could become a no-kill city?
Well, I not only think it's conceivable, I really believe it is inevitable in LA and in other cities around the United States. Some cities will take longer than other, but not because of any unique problems within a city, but it really depends on whether the leadership of both the shelter and the political apparatus, whether they're committed to this, whether they're passionate about this, and whether they want to make it happen sooner rather than later. It's never a too many animals, not enough homes problem. It's a people problem. And it's a problem of a failure in leadership. It's a problem in a failure to implement the programs and services that made other cities like San Francisco so incredibly successful.
How important is the role of the Director of Animal Services?
I would say the single most important factor in determining whether a community is going to be no-kill sooner rather than later is who is running the animal control facility. In fact, when the state of Utah did a policy initiative that they were going to be a no-kill state in 6 years, they sat down and looked at every animal control agency by county and figured that they were going to be successful in about 12 communities based on the fact that the animal control director in those communities was very progressive and passionate and wanted to save lives, really committed to saving lives, and they were right in 11 out of 12 instances. I would say it is the single most important factor. You can have all the taxpayer money in the world. You can implement all the programs and services that you want to implement. If the animal control director doesn't hold his or her staff accountable, if the animal control director isn't passionate about life saving, if they're not committed to making it happen, it doesn't matter what the community wants, it doesn't matter how much money is thrown at the agency, it will fail. And so I would say it is more than anything else, getting the right person into animal control is the difference for the animals between life and death.
And if you could summarize bullet points, some solutions that you implement that you've found successful and that you know can work here in Los Angeles.
There is a no-kill, what I call the no-kill equation. It is a series of programs and services that brought San Francisco to a whisper of saving all treatable, sick and injured dogs and cats, of really creating a no-kill community. And that same equation in Tompkins County, New York, made it a no-kill community. And that same equation, those series of programs and services, are what is leading the life-saving initiative in cities like Philadelphia. And they're really simple. If every community implemented them, they would have success. It starts with a compassionate, hardworking animal control director who is not content hiding behind the myth of too many animals, not enough homes, is not content to hide behind the myth of an overworked shelter staff that is underfunded, and is not content with just blaming the public for his or her own failure at getting the job done. It starts with that, but the programs and services that follow that are a trap, neuter, return program for feral cats as opposed to trapping and killing, which is the status quo, a foster care program so that animals that are underaged or unweaned or traumatized or sick or injured or just need a break from the shelter or the shelter's full can go into people's homes temporarily until they're well enough or there's space enough that they can be adopted. It includes comprehensive adoption programs, including taking the animals to where people work, live, and play, off-site adoptions, public relations and fundraising, promoting shelter pets, and medical and behavior rehabilitation programs. And all those programs can be done in a cost-effective way so that you can actually reduce the number of animals killed without increasing a department budget. The problem is very rarely underfunding. The problem is usually a misuse, inefficient use, and misallocation of resources and staff.
And how important is the 501c3 aspect that you talked about that could be an adjunct to the department? How effective is that? How has it worked? Is it possible?
Well, for years, for decades actually, public libraries have augmented their tax funding by creating semi-independent not-for-profits under the IRS code 501c3 so that they can receive tax-deductible donations. And it has been incredibly successful, and you see them in every community, book drives and book sales and bake sales and everything to get more money to buy more books for public libraries. And it's time for our movement in our industry to take the lead from public libraries and follow suit. And so many municipal shelters have created what's called Friends of the City Animal Care and Control, like Friends of the Public Library. And these agencies are tasked with one role: raise money to augment taxpayer funding for animal care and control. They have it in San Francisco, they have it in other cities, and it has been incredibly successful. The beauty about fundraising for animals is that it is incredibly easy, because unlike other issues, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you're rich or poor, what your cultural or ethnic background is, people love their dogs and cats. And the best example I can give is San Francisco, which is one of the most successful cities in saving dogs and cats, and certainly the most successful major urban community in the United States, is also one of the most cultural and ethnically diverse communities in the nation. And if there's a lesson to be learned from that, it's that stereotypes are meaningless, and people of all walks of life want to create a better world for animals. And when you got that going for you, all you have to do is show them you're doing good things for animals, telling people about it, and asking for their help, and you would be surprised how much people are willing to help.
What can the average person do to help the city become no-kill if they don't want to be involved in all the other groups or don't want to necessarily volunteer their time at the animal shelter? What can they do to help on a day-to-day basis?
Well, obviously, take good care of their pets, spay neuter their animals, and that kind of thing. But really, the shelter belongs to the community. It is not the animal control director's shelter. It's not the city council's shelter. It belongs to the people, and it's paid for with the people's money. And so, if nothing else, if they made their voice heard, whether by letter or a vote, that animals matter to them, and they do not want to continue funding a failed operation that is killing dogs and cats when it should be funding them homes, making that known to the people who are influenced by votes, I think we would be much quicker in achieving a no-kill nation. Like I said, I think no-kill is inevitable, but we want to get there as fast as possible, because the longer we delay, the more lives that are lost.
Okay, last question. What's your passion to keep you going on this whole venture and just search to make every town this same way in your lifespan?
Because I think it is incredibly, let me put it this way, I don't believe it's complicated. It might be hard work, but it's not complicated work. And if nothing else, I go to town telling them, implement the no-kill equation. It works. It is cost effective. It will save lives. And the more communities that do that, the more successful it is, the more the pressure is on other communities that are not to do it. And I believe, I take solace from what I consider very wise words of Martin Luther King Jr., which is that we are no longer marching in ones and twos, but in legions of thousands, convinced that we cannot be denied by any human force. And it is a banner that we are going to carry to a certain victory.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Did great work.
Do you mind if I take one quick shot at the portrait?
Oh, yes, if you don't mind. That'd be great. So, I've got the American Humane Association on me here.
That's okay. Although I'm no fan.
I know.
All right, thank you very much.
I appreciate
Somebody
it.
gave it to me this morning
Thank
because
you.
it had a dog picture on it. They didn't even know what it said.